Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching this. I'm Ferracci, and today I'll just be talking to you about integrated studies, what it is, and an issue, and other things. So to begin with, we'll just do a small About Me section. Currently, I'm a senior at West Virginia University, graduate in May this year. On the outside of college, I'm enlisted in the West Virginia Air National Guard, and I'm the rank of a senior airman, which is an E4. My job in the Guard is radio frequency transmission systems. I just deploy, operate, and maintain radio services across the base on every radio except for the ones on planes themselves. That's a different job. Some of the classes I'm taking outside of this is aviation weather, which is very interesting but very difficult. I've taken economics, taken a semester of Japanese, Spanish, just this integrated studies degree has allowed me to take quite a variety, which is great. And just some general hobbies I like to do is I like to walk on trails with my dog sometimes. He's a little big though and likes the colder weather a lot more, so it's a little hard to get him out some days in the summer. I like to game, Xbox, computer, just some of that general stuff, and I'm very into electronics. As you can see with my job in radio in the Air Force, I just like everything electronics I did in high school. And yeah, so here's the introduction we're all been waiting for about integrated studies. So integrated studies brings together diverse disciplines in a comprehensive manner, enabling students to develop a meaningful understanding of the complex associations and influences within a topic. Pretty much just saying that you're just looking at some disciplines and seeing how they interact in a little more complex way than just, oh, Bob and Jill are talking, one's from HR, one's in management. It's a little broad and a little specific at the same time. So, like I said before, we're going to be talking about an issue today, and this is an issue that I did in my MDS, the 301 class, which was, I did veterans homelessness specifically, but we'll just look at homelessness in general. Now, just note there's not going to be a lot on the next slide, but I will be talking a lot as it's just a lot of information I didn't want to bombard with slides. So here's the timeline of the issue, and it's just mainly from beginning to end. We have the beginning, where the disciplines meet. They get acquainted if they have never worked together before. In this situation, we'll be mainly looking at like an economics discipline, some form of mental health services like a psychologist, and someone in logistics. I don't know a specific discipline that deals mainly with logistics, as there's many different ones. I couldn't think of just one that puts the logistics. In this situation, we can say like logistics would be shelter, food, clothing, just mainly obtaining anything needed for the homeless. Mental health services, of course, we'll be talking about. Excuse me, I'm taking a drink. We'll just be talking about, talking to the homeless people, seeing if there's any causes behind it or any mental health issues that occur from it. And economics, simple enough, will just be how will anything that helps this be funded? And how can there be any long-term prosperity of the homeless if we help them in the beginning so if they don't become homeless again? And now the second part, we'll be looking at so where they outline the issues. Of course, it's homelessness, but like I said, it's going to be a little more in depth if they wanted to be. They could look at this also from a high point of view, where it's just homelessness in general, or they could go very specific, like I did with veteran homelessness. And even I went a little more specific in some of my research with veteran homelessness in bigger cities versus rural areas, seeing as bigger cities had a lot more, but rural areas seem to have a higher percentage of veteran homelessness, surprisingly. Now, the third step will be creating a solution or solutions. This is, just a drawing board, brainstorming, creating solutions. Of course, it's going to be a little more than just brainstorming. They're going to try to create solid solutions to this problem. And they're going to have to keep constantly looking at and checking each other to see where there's issues with each one. Like the logistics discipline could say, hey, let's give everyone a Louis Vuitton coat because it's going to keep them warm in the winter. I don't know if Louis Vuitton makes a coat though. And that's when the economics can say, hey, it's too expensive. We're not doing it. And it's just simple as that. Checks and balances. Once they all get in a good on the same page, we'll go to step 4, which will be to implement the solutions. Like it's stated in the PowerPoint, it's simple. You implement the solutions created. It's just the go time. No more thinking, just go. And then lastly, you will observe and rework the solutions. If it works, it works. If there's things that can be improved, you improve it. If it's a failure, you scrap it, and you go back to step 3 and create the solutions. Of course, there's never one answer to this, or to any problem. And of course, at the end of the day, you can always change something with adding, subtracting, or changing a discipline. Say you changed the mental health for, let's just say, brought in a realtor. They took over the housing only. That could change a lot in the solutions in the long term, as you're no longer seeing the mental perspective from the homelessness anymore. Now, of course, adding can always be good as it brings more eyes in, but you never want to have too many eyes. Or a good analogy is you never want to have too many people trying to make pizzas, as it's going to get congested at some point. And on the other side of that, you never want to have not enough. You could try to get 2 disciplines to make an answer on something, but you might not have enough points of view for a proper solution. And that's just, depending on what the problem is where you will decide how many you need and who you need. Just a quick summary, a little bit of my opinion. Integrated studies, in my opinion, is more of a 50,000 foot view or look over an issue and how the disciplines will interact. That's how I feel like what I've learned here has taught me, and at least my views from the Air Force. Sometimes you have to have that 50,000 foot view, oversee everything, and integrated studies is really good for that. Now, the real, I'd say 100-foot view, that's just real down to earth almost, is your soft skills you gain from outside of this and practical experience, communication, working with people, teamwork, coordination. That stuff is more on your own that you have to gain, and integrated studies sadly won't really teach you that as well. But just the basis of that 50,000 foot view will go a long way compared to starting fresh. That concludes my talking about integrated studies. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you.